Please welcome Vasile Granaci, angel investor.
So please take your phones, because I didn't manage to use Brella. Take your phone, scan this QR code, and hit me up after the conference if you want to have a chat. Okay, so let's do this. We have 10 minutes. We'll be quick. I was an operator, co-founding team member at a few companies here that you see on the screen. And what I would love to learn together and share is some of the ups and downs I had. And we can talk offline after that, more detailed, given the time constraints. So from 0 to 50 million and 6.2 billion exit that wasn't. So here, real situation that happened is this. We built a company that was in the communication space, very successful for the time. We managed to bring it to $80 million of ARR. And we got approached by some buyers, the likes of Vonage, that you see on the screen, and said, hey, we're going to pay you $250 million to buy this company now. Of course, it was 2016. We thought, like, that's a crazy amount of money. Let's just sell it. What we didn't forecast it when the company was sold for $250, that the same company 4 years later, when the COVID will come around, will be sold for $6.2 billion to Ericsson. Learning. If somebody is offering you, at the moment, quite a, let's say, good deal, just use advisors, think thoroughly why they want to buy your company. Is it the right time? Is it the right market? Can you hold on a bit and don't urge the temptation to sell? Because if you look at my example here and with my teammates, we sold at a massive discount. So the learning is timing. Try a bit to predict the future. I know it's hard. Don't urge to sell. Just hold on to it if you're building something special. Startup and politics. That was a fun one. So after we sold that company, I joined ByteDance. ByteDance is the parent company of TikTok. I'm sure everybody knows TikTok. So they hired me as the CEO of Europe to develop their cloud business. And literally on the first month in my job, Trump goes on the news and says, we're going to ban TikTok. That's it. TikTok doesn't exist. ByteDance, you need to sell TikTok. And what I've learned from that experience, you can have a great product, you can have a bunch of money, and kind of the stars can align with you. But if you are in the wrong geopolitical context, all your business can fall like a house of cards. And that's exactly what happened on the B2B side. So what we had to do is change completely the strategy, lay off people, unfortunately, make redundancies, and focus on, let's say, countries that were more geopolitically aligned with ByteDance and TikTok and at the time. So, when you're building your startup, try to incorporate your company in a neutral jurisdiction. That's basically the learning here. And I always recommend to founders, go with Switzerland. Switzerland is friend with everybody. I don't see it, at least for the foreseeable future, how Switzerland can go wrong. So geopolitics can kill your product, can kill your business, can kill your company. So be careful with that. Another interesting one is, I mentioned, raise too much money. So there was a company there that we raised a bunch of money during COVID times, 1 billion to be precise. And basically we acquired a bunch of companies and we went from 300 people to 1,000 people in like 1 month. And what just so happened is, if you have a lot of capital to deploy and you manage to raise money, don't be so quick to spend it. Just try to understand why you need that much money, how these companies that you bring into your portfolio fit into the bigger picture, why you're doing this acquisition, is it the right time, is it the right cultural fit? So the point is, when the market will go back, now it's a bit shaky with the tariffs and US situation, but the market will eventually go back and funding will be a bit lucrative, let's say. Just think of, if you raise money from VCs, have a clear strategy. If you want to do some acquisitions, you want to buy some companies and do M&As, have a good understanding why do you need this and how you're going to integrate that into your company. So that was another interesting one. Layoffs, yeah, it was a ride. The next one here, if it works. The next one is another company that I had the good fortunes to be involved with. We tried to tackle the, let's say, legal and finance market. And at the time, we tried to automate the work of the bankers and how you, read contracts, how you read contracts, how you analyze contracts. Basically, we were developing an agent that will scan through legal docs and give you summary of that legal doc. So a lawyer or a banker can save, countless hours in a day. So all nice, raised a bunch of money from the likes of Goldman Sachs and stuff. The problem was timing. So November came around of 2022, and ChatGPT was released. And when ChatGPT was released, what we realized is that anyone on planet Earth can upload a PDF document into GPT and start getting summaries. So suddenly, all our customers, and we had quite a few of them, to be honest, in banking and legal firms, etc., they just start migrating to GPT because they're saying, look, I just can talk in a natural way with GPT and get all my summaries done, for $20 a month. You don't have a moat. And that's basically, that killed the business, that killed the product, and we had to close the company at a huge discount. So we basically sold it below what we raised. Trust me, that's not fun. And the next 2 years ahead, because people say 5 years and all this kind of stuff. Honestly, and I don't want to sound cliche, with AI and LLM and how fast everything is moving, I think even 1 year is a bit, I'd say, nobody knows what will happen. But let's say 2 years. My personal take on this and what I've seen so far is that, try to adapt to the AI game. If you're not using AI in your business, you're going to disappear. You're going to be obsolete. So use GPT, Claude, all that stuff, and learn how to prompt. Data equals power. So if you have unique data about healthcare, about some truly proprietary information that you cannot find online, don't just give it away. Because if you lose control of your data that is proprietary and something unique, if you're building a healthcare company, let's say, anyone with an open source LLM will just displace you. So data equals power, data equals money, data equals leverage. That's your competitive advantage because tools now become cheaper. Trust wins. So there is a lot of hype right now in AI. I'm not sure if you've seen, there are a few companies, for example, that they were claiming to sell AI agents and they were charging people like $20K a month for an AI agent, sorry, a year for an AI agent. And what it ended up being, it was just someone in Philippines doing the work behind the AI agent. So don't do that, be honest, have integrity, build solutions for real problems. Don't try to follow the hype and have a very strong point of view on what problem you're trying to solve. And be honest with yourself. And of course, stay alive. And why I say stay alive? Because, unfortunately, large language models, GPT, Claude, all those kind of things, they really knocked all of us down in a very different way. I'll give you an example. In the past, for you to have a 10 million ARR business, you would need, 50 people, let's say, if you want to be lean. Less, I would argue. Now you can do the same with like 15. So you don't need that many people to do a lot of tasks now. You can become more efficient, more lean. Now the barrier to entry to create apps and codes and platforms is easier. People now do vibe coding. So, again, the barrier to create something went down. So raising capital now, in a way, it's also harder because there's so much noise and you truly need to be unique and, understand the problem, have business acumen, have the right advisors, etc. So when I say stay alive, what I mean truly is that, don't try to follow the hype right now that happens, and there is so much of it. Try to take a really educated point of view on an industry or a vertical or a market and go deep. And become an expert at that. If you're doing e-commerce, be the best at e-commerce. You're doing healthcare, be the best at healthcare. You're doing, ed tech, be the best at ed tech. Try to master, because knowledge now, it's easy to access with all these tools. Building, you can do with vibe coding. Knowledge work gets disrupted. So we as founders, you as founders in this case, you need to adapt with that. So on that note, I wish you best of luck. Hit me up anytime you want to have a chat. And thank you for the talk.